So my name, like I said, is Julia, and I'm a teacher here at Three's Fizzy Yoga Method. And you'll see Diana and Christina up on the screen, and they're from Three's as well. And they're just going to be kind of monitoring the chat if anything comes up, you have questions, etc., and helping us out a bit. So I just started physical therapy school this week, but I've been a yoga teacher in New York City for about 12 years. And my background was originally in dance, and that's what brought me to New York City. And somewhere along this line in this journey, I had many injuries, but there was one very pivotal injury that I had in 2017 that started to transition me more into this work with resistance bands and yoga, and also on this pursuit of more education about the body, which now has brought me to go back to school for physical therapy. So this work with resistance bands comes from a really tender and special place for me. Diana was my first physical therapist and my teacher and mentor at the beginning of this process. And we started fooling around with resistance bands back in 2017, and we developed workshops together that were taught in New York City. And then they toured nationally and internationally. And now today will be sort of a brief offering of a little bit of band work together, where we're going to focus on creating some mobility through the spine and some nice traction and decompression using resistance. So bands are a really incredible and powerful tool, and they're also very scalable and portable. So often when I'm traveling, I bring a band with me, and that really helps me to reset and feel good in my body, especially if I've been in the car or on a plane for a while. But bands are also something that physical therapists use for a reason, and they really help us to make changes, not only in the way that we move, but the way that we feel in our bodies. So maybe this resonates for you. Have you ever heard a cue in yoga that maybe has been confusing or you don't feel like you understand? If you have a cue that pops up, you can drop it in the chat. For me, it was lift your back ribs up. And another cue is lengthen your spine. I never quite understood what those cues meant or how to really embody them in my own body until I started working with resistance bands. That tactile feedback of the band on the body really helps your brain start to change the way that you perceive how you're moving and your body, all its individual pieces, and how it relates to the whole. So, quick little science fun tidbit here. You have a map of your entire body in your brain. And in this map, we have certain parts of the body that have more proprioception or more awareness and action than others. For example, our hands and our feet and our tongue. And this is because of evolution. We needed our hands to get around, to build shelter, to gather food, our tongue and our mouth to taste things and to take in information of the environment around us. We have other areas in that brain body map that are not as highly represented, like areas of the rib cage and the pelvis and the spine. So when we can't move or connect to certain parts of our body, like these less represented areas, or we have pain or aches or stiffness in certain areas, then these parts in that body map in the brain start to get a little bit smudged. Just like if you spilled coffee on a map of a hiking trail. All of a sudden, that part where you spilled the coffee, you wouldn't be able to see that section of the trail and how it connects point A to point B. So that same thing can happen with us. Again, if we have an area that's achy or painful, or we had an injury somewhere, that part gets a little smudged and has less representation. But the good news is that we, again, can change. We can use resistance bands as one tool to help us create more connection to these parts, feel less achy, less stiff, and maybe even reduce our pain. So this class again is going to be a taste into how much we can really light up our brain and our body with this simple prop. And we want to do these things because I think a lot of us want to become a lot more efficient and embodied in our body and in our movement practices. And that's, if you're a student, you want to go a little deeper underneath the surface into how you're moving and how you're feeling and how you're practicing. And if you're a teacher, that might be one of your goals to share this kind of work and embodiment with your students and help your students feel better and make changes in the way that they move. So as we're pulling against the bands and pushing against them today, we're going to have this feeling, very palpable feeling of how our body is this big interconnected system. Our core is at the center of it. And when we're reaching out into the bands with our arms, our legs, and even our head at one point, we're going to push up against the resistance. We're going to start to really see how all of these pieces relate to each other and connect us back in and back out. Okay, so I'll make one last note here before we begin. Um, Today's class might be a different experience for some of you. I know some of you have done work with bands before, or have taken classes with me before, and some of you have not. So this isn't like a flow yoga class. There will be elements where we're connecting our breath with our movement, but we're really going to take time and slow down. And there's a great value in this because we let our body, our nervous system start to assimilate so that we can take in all of this new information, really experience it, and again, make those changes that we want so we can become more embodied and efficient movers. Now, we're using just one band today, just one long band of about a medium resistance. If you're more comfortable working with bands, you could have a band that's a little bit of a heavier weight. But in my experience, less has been more with this kind of work so that the resistance is not so strong that it overpowers you and you feel like you can't accomplish the movement or the task. But this is just one way that you can work with bands. We have an exciting announcement at the end of this class if you want to stick around for or fast forward through the recording for later if you have to pop out early, with training coming up with resistance bands. But there's a bunch of different bands that you can use when you're working with them, including bands that have loops in them or mini loop bands, which some of you might have already explored. So today, again, is just this taste with one single band, finding all the possibilities and the way that we can make changes in how we move and feel. All right, enough of that kind of talking. Let's get into it. We should move, yes? Okay, so has also a blanket, and if you have two blocks, that would be great. You can always substitute for like two books or a pillow or a towel if you don't have those specific yoga props. And we're going to start with one of my favorite ways to start with the resistance band, which is around the rib cage for breathing. So you're going to take your band and we're going to spread it across the back of the rib cage. And don't worry if it's not like a perfect spread. Sometimes they get folded and balled up, but you're going to place it so that it's, if you're wearing a bra, it's kind of like the bra line or underneath the shoulder blade area. And then we'll just take it around the front here and you're going to tie it. So it's kind of at the bottom of your breastbone. And then you'll just tie it one more time so that it stays in place. Now you want the band pretty snug around your rib cage so that you can start to sense this area of your body. But that second knot, not so tight that you can't get it undone in a little bit. Okay, once you got your band set up, no rush, we're gonna meet on the back with our body flat. And you could place a blanket underneath your head for a little bit of a cushion and support for your skull if you'd like. Or if you're comfortable with your head flat on the floor, you can just have your head flat. And then let your feet widen and your knees knock into touch so that the lower body is relatively restful. And you can start to really drop down through your hips and your pelvis. And have your arms wherever feels most comfortable for you. So it might be down alongside your body. You could also rest them on your body or even bring them into a loose field goal post or cactus shape. Now, before we do anything, right, just kind of going back to our map of our body that we have in our brain, this area of the rib cage where our band is currently tied is one of those areas that can be a little bit harder to feel and to access in terms of movement and also in terms of breath. So we're going to use the band now to start to create a bridge between this part of the body and the brain and how we're feeling and sensing it. So start to bring your awareness to that band if you haven't already, and begin to inhale really slowly in a way that expands your ribs in a 360 fashion out into the band. And then let your exhalation be really long and quiet, and you can exhale through the nose or the mouth. And see if you can let your ribs draw in and down away from the band. So breathing in, filling up and widening in a 360 fashion out into the resistance. And then breathing out really slowly and quietly, letting your ribs change shape. Try to draw them in and down away from the band. Okay, so we'll just take a couple more breaths like this. Make your inhale so smooth and quiet that it's as if you're trying not to even disturb the hairs on the inside of your nose. So it's a really slow, quiet inhale. And then a long and complete exhale. And also notice your relationship to putting your attention to your breath in this way. Some of you, again, it might be really familiar and comforting, and some of you, it might be a little bit strange or new, kind of like you just walked into the forest and you're not exactly sure which trees and trail you need to pass through. You might have certain areas of the rib cage that fill and empty uh, easier than others. Just take a few more breaths to feel. We'll take one more breath in together through the nose, really smooth and quiet. And then a long exhale, either out the nose or out the mouth. And then we're going to breathe in for a count of 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale to the band. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4. Really empty. 3, 2, 1. One more together. In for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Try a few more rounds here on your own. So simple 4 count breath in and a 4 count breath out. Soft through your face, quiet through the neck, quiet through the shoulders. Try 2 more rounds on your own. Inhaling for 4, exhaling for 4. And at the end of your second round, just let go of the counting and return back to a normal breath, but a deeper breath. And then if your eyes are closed, we're just going to gently blink them open. And we'll keep the band on the rib cage here and just sneak your hands behind your head. You're going to interlace your fingers together there. Let your elbows be wide. And then separate your knees and we'll lift the legs up to a tabletop position here. And as you lift your legs up to tabletop, feel the back of your pelvis gets really heavy. And the back of your waistband gets really heavy. Okay, take a nice 360 breath into your band. And as you exhale, draw the ribs in and down away from the band and curl up with your head and your chest. Then pause here and continue to breathe into the band and away from the band. And think about really curling up and over where the band is here on your rib cage. Try to drop the center of your sternum, the front of your chest, further down into your body. Okay, take one more breath in and then lower your chest back down as you breathe out. Okay, elbows wide. Again, pause there and take an inhale. Start to exhale. Feel your ribs come in and down away from the band and then curl back up your head and your rib cage. And you're just pausing here. Keep the back of your pelvis just flat and heavy. Try not to let your low back push too heavily down into the mat, but focus more on lifting up through this upper part of your spine, your rib cage area. Take another breath in and then lower just your chest back down again, elbows wide. Okay, one more time. Take a nice deep inhale. Start your exhale. Feel your ribs close in and down, and then use that to initiate head and top of the chest and the top of the upper back lift. Now stay here and take a breath in. And as you exhale, reach your right leg forward and twist your chest to the left like a little bicycle curl. And then come back in with your leg to center. Inhale. Left leg forward, twist to the right as you exhale. Again, back to center. Take a breath into the band. Exhale, ribs come away from the band, twist to the left, right leg forward. Good, back to center, breathe in. And exhale, left leg forward, twist to the right. Okay, back to center, breathe in. And now lower your feet down and your head down. Ooh, and again, let your elbows widen. Okay, just take a recovery breath here. Nice breath in through your nose. And maybe an exhale through the mouth. And then again, keep breathing. And we're going to float those legs back up one more time to tabletop. Okay, starting to heat the body up. Take a nice 360 breath in. Start your exhale. Feel the ribs coming in and down. And curl up, head and the top of your upper back, your rib cage. Good. Stay here. Take an inhale. This time, left leg forward first as you exhale. Twist to the right. Try to curl up and over that band. Good. Back to center, breathing in. As you exhale, right leg forward, twist to your left. Good. Back to center, breathing in. Exhale, left leg forward, twist to the right. Almost there. One more side. Back to center, breathing in. And exhale, right leg forward, twist to the left. Good. Back to center, breathing in. And then feet down, whoo, head down, and elbows widen. Okay, and take a moment here. You can even rock your knees and your pelvis a little side to side, like some windshield wipers. Just take some nice breaths into your band. And then we're going to come back to center here, and you'll just undo that knot that is in the front of your band. And then we'll take the tails of the band and you're going to cross them over the front of the chest. So you just take them and cross them and hold them in your hands. And then just keep a hold. We're going to roll ourselves to the left side of our space, and you can have your head supported by a blanket or have the head on the floor if that's comfortable. And we're going to bend the right knee up so that it's about in line with the hip, and you'll straighten your left leg just down onto the floor. Now with the ends of your band crossed here, we're going to extend the arms just out in front of the body. So you'll be gripping your band and punching forward. And take a moment and try to move the back of your rib cage back into the band so that it's nice and full there at the back of your heart and the back of your lungs. Okay, now reach your right arm just up to the ceiling here and take a breath in. And as you exhale, we're going to twist open to the right. You're going to let your right arm pull that band to the right. But I'd like you to focus on keeping your right knee down on the floor. So for most of us, that right arm is not going to drop all the way down to the ground because we've created a little bit of a block of motion in the pelvis. And just stay here and take a breath into where you feel the band around your rib cage. And then use your exhale to maybe reach a little further out to the right. And then we'll lift the arm back up and just close up the twist and find your hands one on top of the other again. Okay, let's do that again. Back of the rib cage moves back into the band. Start to reach your right arm up. And take a breath in. And as you exhale, rotate open here, reaching your right arm to the right. And just pause and breathe into the band. And let your exhale help you to heavy that right side rib cage and the top of the right shoulder. And lift your arm back up and close up the twist. We're going to do one more with the band like that. The back of the rib cage moves back. Start to reach your right arm up. Take a breath into your band. And then exhale and reach the right arm out to the right. Again, just pause here. Nice deep breath in. And a breath out. And then lift the arm back up and close up the twist. And just keep the band there, but let go of it with your hands and then stack your hands one on top of the other. And then same twist and just notice how you feel without the resistance. You're going to reach your right arm up and then let your rib cage open, let your right arm open. Just notice what that feels like. Notice the range of motion. I'm going to take a breath back into your ribs there. And a nice deep breath out. And then we'll reach the arm back up to the ceiling and close up the twist. And just do that one more time for yourself and just notice the difference without resistance. Maybe you're able to connect down with your ribs and you're breathing a little bit more. Maybe that right arm is closer to the floor. Good. And we'll lift the arm back up and close up the twist. And then you'll just kind of locate the ends of that band. Just grab them with one of your hands as you roll back onto your back. And then we're going to go to the second side. So you'll cross the tails in front of you. And as you're rolling to the right, just taking a moment to set up. You're going to bend your left leg so that your knee is about in line with the hip. And then your right leg will be straight on the floor. The band tails again are crossed in front of you. Your arms will extend just out in front of you on the floor. Okay, back of your rib cage, you're going to move it back into the band. And then you'll lift your left arm up. You'll start to take a breath in. And as you exhale, we're going to reach that left arm out to the left. So we'll just pause a little bit longer here on this first one. Now you might have differences in your ability to rotate from right side to left side. Maybe one side moves more than the other, or they feel similar. Just take a breath where you feel the band there on your ribs. Then use your exhalation to reach out a little further. Then we'll lift the arm back up and close up the twists. Okay, two more with the band. So we'll start to lift the left arm, taking a breath in. And use your exhale to turn without letting that left knee pop up. So we're just rotating here above the belly button. Just stay for another breath in. and a breath out. Then we'll take the arm back up and close up the twist. Okay, one final time like that. Ribs move back into the band. Reach the left arm up, taking a breath in, using your exhale to reach open, and then pausing there as you inhale and as you exhale. Okay, we'll lift the arm back up. And again, close up the twist. Okay, and just keep the band there, but again, let go of the tails. And then 2 times, taking your time, you're going to reach that left arm up and notice how you feel as you twist open without the resistance. What's that range of motion like in your shoulder, in your rib cage? Good. You're going to take the arm back up and close up the twist. And then just one more time for yourself. Right, taking that work from the band and really putting it into your body. Good. And we'll lift the arm back up and close up the twist when you're done. And then we'll remove, if you have a blanket there, that off to the side. And we'll roll onto the back and you'll take your band out from underneath you. And we're going to hold it in our hands, just about shoulder distance apart. You can even go a little bit wider or a little more narrow if you'd like. And we're going to reach the arms up and over the head here. And you'll have your knees bent with your feet just planted on the floor. Okay, now pull that band apart with your hands so you have a little tension there through the arms and the outer lines of the shoulders. And then start to tuck or posteriorly tilt your pelvis. And you're going to roll up through your spine into a bridge pose here. And if it's okay for you, let yourself really climb up toward the back of your shoulders so that your arms and the band get a little heavier into the floor over your head. Now in this bridge, just feel your feet on the ground, really connect through the bases of your toes and your heels. And then take a nice deep rib cage breath in. So imagine the band was still there on your ribs. And as you start to exhale, move really slowly. You're going to try to articulate through your spine, rolling down bone by bone or vertebra by vertebra here. Super, super slow. So really let your pelvis curl underneath you. It might feel a little tricky in some areas to articulate. Do the best you can. We're going to do this a few times. And once your pelvis lands on the ground, just reach back a little further with your arms. Now start to lift your arms up and your head and your chest up. And you're going to bend your knees into the chest. Reach your band forward and give it a hook on your feet. And then let your hands slide on the band a bit, as much as you need to. And you're going to extend your legs forward and find yourself in this little half boat position. Think about the lower back getting really heavy in the floor so that you're pretty flexed in your spine. And then you'll bend your knees back in. Good. Catch a hold of that band and you'll lift it back up to the ceiling. And then the feet will plug down into the ground. Arms will again reach overhead. You can choke up on that band if you want, create some resistance. Okay, so we're going to do this a couple of times. Here we go again. We're going to push through the feet, curl your pelvis under, and roll up through your spine and try to climb onto the backs of your shoulders. Make the back of your arms really heavy. And a nice deep breath in through your rib cage. And slowly starting to exhale, like if you had a pearl necklace, each individual pearl being each individual bone of your spine on that string. Try to land each bone slowly down. One, then the next, and the next, and the next. Once the pelvis touches, you're going to lift your arms up, curl your head and your chest up, and again, draw those legs in. Give a little hook of your band to your feet, and then use your resistance to help you reach the legs forward and curl through this upper half of your body. You're connecting upper half to lower half, and let your back round like a big cat spine. Good. Bending the legs back in, and then unhook. And again, taking the feet down and the arms overhead. Okay, and here we go. Push through the feet, curl the pelvis under, roll up the spine. Good, nice and long and open in the front of your hips. Backs of the legs really engaged. Pull apart with your hands, taking a breath in. And as you exhale, start to roll yourself back down. Breastbone heavy. Feel that whole back rib cage just start to melt down. And then try to iron out your lower back. Let each one of those bones start to drop down. Then you'll feel the back of the pelvis land. And then once you're down, the arms will come up, will curl up, knees come to the chest, hook your band, and then reach the legs forward and come up through this upper half of the spine. Excellent. Bend the legs back in. We're going to go one final time here. Unhook, choke up on that band if you'd like, reach the arms overhead, feet go down, and then curling pelvis under, roll up toward the top of your shoulders. Good, nice and extended here, taking a breath in. And as you exhale, roll yourself down. Feet are still really grounded here. Just check in with where the weight is in them. Try to seal them up from the balls of the feet to the heels. Good. Once the pelvis has touched down, final time, we're going to curl up through the chest, draw in through the knees, and hook that band on your feet and reach those legs forward. Maybe you curl up a little bit further with your upper body. Good. And then we'll come back down, bend the knees in, and we're going to keep the band hooked on the right foot and just extend the right leg up toward the ceiling. Now take the tails of the band and cross them here in front so that you create a little bit of a wraparound of your band on your foot. And then you'll hold that band with your hands and just bring those arms down to the floor, kind of alongside your hips, but a little bit wider than the sides of your mat if you're on a mat. And then you'll extend your left leg forward and flex the left foot. And you start to reach your two heels, your right heel and your left heel, away from your hips. And as much as you can, stretch through the backs of the knees. And as you're pushing your arms down into the ground here, you start to feel the back of your shoulders waking up. Good. Now your leg stays really long. Reach the top of your head straight back to whatever wall is behind you. And you're going to slowly take your right leg and reach it forward and then all the way down to the floor. And the moment that the back of the calves and the heel land, you're going to stretch your leg further away from your pelvis and then re-lift it slowly back up. Your arms are just pushing down as little anchors. Good. Once the leg comes to the top again, we'll repeat. Make it really long, like somebody is gently pulling it away from your hip. And go all the way, all the way, all the way, all the way down. Crown of your head reaching back in opposition. And then stretch your leg longer on the floor before you then lift it up again. Good. Stretch those leg muscles engage. Okay, we're going to do one more time like this. Long leg. Like in New York City, Radio City Rockettes, they're still around. So this is the time that we're going to try to become a rocket with that leg. Reach it further forward and then all the way back up to the ceiling. All right, bend your knee in. You can unhook. We're going to take that left leg in and we'll switch the sides. Okay, once you get there, cross that band in front of the foot. Get that nice wrap around and then anchor your hands down. And as you're ready, you're going to extend your right leg forward and down on the floor too. Okay, just a couple of breaths here to reach your legs away from the midline and from your pelvis in this L-shaped position. And, I didn't mention this on the first side, but your leg might be a little further away from your body than mine is, or than the person on the screen next to you is, all depending on the length there that you've got with your hamstrings. Just try to stretch the knees, really work the muscles at the front of your thighs. And then keeping those arms anchored, we're going to reach that left leg really long and let it lower all the way down to the floor. Again, once the calf and the heel land, you're going to try to stretch your leg longer on the ground first, like somebody's pulling it away from you, and then keep that pulling away feeling as you arc the leg out and up and back up to the ceiling. Good. And again, nice and slow, creating length, right? Decompression, opening up some space in that hip joint, letting the leg touch, opening up some space in the lower part of your spine, reaching out and back up to the ceiling. Good. And again. Tips of your ears, try to reach them away from your leg as your leg lowers. Left leg longer, pull it back up. Great. One final one to go. Here we go. Slowly reach. Smooth, controlled movement. And then leg longer before you lift it back up. Okay, once you get to the top, we're going to undo. Just free yourself from that band. Give your hands also a little break, right? Working with this kind of band is really working our grip strength, which is an excellent thing, but sometimes those hands can get a little bit tired. So just give a moment to shake it out. And then we're going to rock ourselves up. And we've been on the back for a while. So maybe you take a moment seated, but we'll make our way to standing next. And you'll catch your band as you come up. Okay, so here we are standing. Just gonna feel yourself upright on your feet. Right, we've already done a lot of work to start to open up the spine, connect to the core, connect to our legs. Now we're gonna move that up into the shoulder girdle a little more. So you're gonna take your feet out. They could be wider than shoulder width distance. Just have some room around you. You're gonna hold your band in your hands, and you can start with the hand grip pretty wide. We're gonna take those arms up to the ceiling, and then we're gonna look for a smooth motion of the arms as you take the band back behind you, and then all the way down to the pelvis. So you can always go wider with that grip to accomplish that. And then we're gonna come back up, over the head, and then forward and down. Okay, we're going to do this a few times, up and over. Again, looking for a smooth motion of that shoulder in the socket. So some of you might even take the hands closer in, right, and catch a little bit more resistance in that band. And some of the stuff that we do today, lighter bands will be very applicable. And then other things, a heavier band might be more applicable. For me, sometimes this is the case with this exercise. Like I could use a little bit more resistance, but that wasn't always the case. Good. Okay, now a couple of more. We're going to start to move the spine with this a little more. So as you take the arms up and back, lift your breastbone toward the ceiling and shine your chest upward. And then as you come back up and over your head, you're going to tilt the breastbone into the body, kind of round your spine and let your upper back flex and tuck your chin to your chest. Just a couple times like that. You know, with all of this movement, we want to just try to make it feel as smooth and as good as possible for the body. So if this feels like a lot of range and it's not so great, you can always make the movement smaller. And then some of you might really appreciate larger range of motion, really extending, really lifting, really flexing. I feel my shoulders working. Okay, let's do about one more of these up and back and forward and down. And then you'll come up, just keep holding on the band, but give your arms a little bit of a wiggle. Okay, and then we'll take one end of the band just down and you'll step on it with your left foot. And it doesn't matter which direction it's pulling from, either inside or outside the leg. Just get a firm anchor on it. And then you'll hold the band in your right hand, and we're going to punch that band up to the ceiling. Catch the middle of it with your left hand. Lift yourself up nice and tall And then you're going to push the band out to the left, kind of like a little bow and arrow shape. And then just come back to center and you can bend both arms in and down. Okay, so we'll do this again. You're going to lift up with that right arm and then bow into a nice side bend, lift up into the band and arc over. And then come back in and back down. Try 3 more like this on your own to this left side. So you'll reach up and then really keep that length pushing up into the band as you side bend. Same thing here, you can play with that range of motion. Some of you, there might be a little bit less or a little bit more that you want to feel into. Go ahead and remember your breath one more time. Great. As you come down, just unhook from your foot and then hold the band in your left hand. Just let it be there. You're going to reach your right arm back up to the ceiling and just try a little side bend to the left again and notice what that feels like as you reach. And then come back down and try that one more time. So just testing out what's that side bend like after pulling with the resistance. Beautiful. All right, we've got to even it out. So let's go to the second side. So you're going to step on the band with your right foot, and then we'll hold in the left hand. We're going to punch that left arm up to the ceiling. Catch the middle with your right hand, and then we go up first, and then you'll press it out to the right, side bend to the right. And then coming back in and just letting both arms bend and come down. Good. Again, like that, going up and big arc and bow. Coming back and down. Again, lengthen, reach. Big press up and over side bend. Come up and down. Okay, 2 more on your own pacing there. And breathing. Beautiful. All right, unhook, just hold it in your right hand. Now stay standing. And then 2 times, we'll just test that side bend again to the right. So we're gonna take that left arm up and reach. Just notice your range of motion and the quality of that movement. Perhaps more easeful, more awareness of how you're side bending. Good. When you're done, you'll come back to center. Okay, now this one will mess up your hair a little bit. Okay, we're going to take the band and with your head just upright and your eyes on the horizon line, you're going to take a piece of it and just place it right here on the crown of your head, the top of your head. Let your hands kind of slide down near the ends of the band and just start to pull your band down to the side. So we're going to keep the nose and the chin just slightly lifted so that that band stays put on the top of the head. This could be your next Halloween costume. Okay. Now, feel your feet on the floor underneath you and really anchor your feet to the ground, almost as if you could plant them all the way through your floorboards into the soil underneath. Or if you're in the 5th floor like me, maybe you could reach all the way down through 5 floors into the earth. From there, really grow the crown of your head up into the band. Let your collarbones widen, shoulders just drawing slightly back. And feel this position of your body. We're quite literally pushing length, creating length in the spine, lengthening the spine. Now we're going to keep this pushing up of the crown of the head. Shift your weight to the left and just start to tease balance in your left side. That might be lifting to the ball of your right foot. Some of you might draw that right knee up to the chest. Plug down through your left foot even more and try to rise up taller through your spine. Now grow even taller as your right foot reflattens into the ground. Good. Shift your weight. Tease balance on your right side. Maybe it's just the heel that lifts, or you come to the tiptoes, or you pull the knee up all the way. Rooting and rising. That's another cue we use a lot in yoga. Quite literally doing it here. Good. Grow taller. Slowly place that foot down. Okay, just one more time here to each side. Shift left. Try that balance. Some of you might find it easier to balance with this connection of the head to the band. Great. Growing taller to come down. And last time, shift and maybe lift. Growing taller and floating the leg back down. Okay, slowly bend your elbows. Just take your band off of your head. Let it drop on the floor. And a moment in standing here. And if it's helpful, sometimes it's helpful for me to close the eyes. You can close them. And just notice, right? You might feel your hands, but I want you to notice your spine and the crown of your head. The top of the head is also another area in our map of our body and our brain that can be difficult to sense. But now we put a band there, so see how that feels. And then just do a quick little walk around your space. Let your arms swing and your legs move, and notice how your spine and your body feels so far. Good. Maybe shake it out a bit. And then we're going to come back to our mat here. And we will have the band just handy here in front of you. And we'll stand at the top of the mat. And you can have your feet just underneath your hips. Okay, let's take the arms. We're going to lift them up and overhead. And reach, and maybe you're really able to access length right away after what we just did. And then forward fold yourself down and over your legs and just let your hands come down. You can soften your knees. You can always grab your blocks if you need them underneath your hands here for a little bit of lift or support. And then we'll step the left leg back into a lunge, and we're going to lower the knee down and catch that band as we come upright. Okay, you're going to take your band here and bring it at the back of your rib cage. Again, don't worry if it's folded a little bit, that's all good. You're going to hold it in your hands here and just let your pelvis pull back so that it's not so far forward over the knee. Let your pelvis curl underneath you a touch, and then punch your arms forward and let your rib cage pull back into the band so you start to flex or round in your upper back. So your pelvis is curling underneath you and your upper back is pushing into the band. And you might even get a little bit of a stretch there in the front of the left hip. Okay, now re-lengthen your spine and start to lift your arms just like an inch or two. And lift the back of your rib cage where the band is up off of your lower back. Shoulders relax down a bit here. And you start to tilt your sternum slightly up. You're not going to go so far up that the band rolls all the way up to the back of the neck, right, which wouldn't be comfortable. But use your band to bring awareness to the back of your rib cage and how you're able to lift this part of your back up off of your pelvis. One more breath here. Good. And then we'll take the arms down. You're going to lift that band up and over. Bring it in your hands and extend the arms out in front of you. Nice deep breath in, back of the rib cage really full and wide. And as you exhale, just pull your right arm back and punch your arms apart. Take a twist here to the right. And then we'll come back to center. And same thing again. Pull the band back, twist to the right. Good. Back to center. Two more times here. Imagine you had another band at the top of your head again. Can you press the crown of your head up as you rotate? And back to center. And keep the back of your rib cage really wide and lifted off of your lower back. Good. Come back to center. Just let your band drop down. And then we'll straighten both legs here. Just take a little forward fold over your legs. You can always use those blocks again underneath your hands. You might be up in more of a long spine, or you might be folding down and relaxing your head. And try to reach down through your heels and your legs like we did when we were on the back, lifting and lowering our legs. And see if you can catch still that nice 360 breath in your rib cage. Great. We're going to rebend into the front leg and just have that band kind of out in front of your mat on the floor. And we'll step back to downward facing dog. Whoa, our first down dog of this class. Okay. Took us a while, but we're here. So let yourself acclimate a bit. Maybe you pedal through your feet. We've already done a lot of work to lengthen through the sides of our body, our legs, and our arms. So perhaps right away, down dog feels a little more integrated, or you can bring back the memory of what we were doing when we were reaching arms overhead and reaching the heels away from the hips here as you support yourself on your hands and feet. Then we'll lift the heels up and we're going to roll ourselves forward into plank. And the knees can always touch down. We'll just bend the elbows, lower all the way to the floor. Okay, find your band and a little bit of room to the sides of you. And we're going to hold it in our hands like we did on the back earlier and just extend the arms long and out in front of us. You're going to let your forehead come down and rest it on the ground. And then pulling apart with your band, you're going to lift your arms up away from the floor. Try to keep the head down. And then keep lifting the arms up, bend your elbows into a little cactus shape, and see if you can pass that band over the back of your head. And then reach the arms forward again and lower the arms back down. Okay, if that feels really difficult, you don't have to bend all the way back behind the head, but you might stop at the top of the head. Again, let's lift the arms up and then slowly bend the elbows. Try to pass that band behind your head if you can. Reach the arms forward and then lower the arms down. Try 3 more like that. We'll pull apart on that band. Top of your head reaching forward. Last one. Very nice. Go ahead and bring the band in. Just plant your hands by your rib cage. And then push the floor apart, just like you were pulling the band apart. And start to lift your chest into cobra. You could stay low, or you could come up a little higher. Just see how you feel. Think about the back of your rib cage where we had the band in our lunge. And try to lift the back of your rib cage up here away from your pelvis. Take another breath, and then we'll meet in a child's pose. Just go through bent knees and let yourself press back. And take a moment to soften into the ground. You might let your head get really heavy there. You could even rock a little side to side. Some nice breaths into your rib cage and your back. And then we'll shift forward again and we'll come back to downward facing dog. You take a slow walk forward with your feet back to the top. A little forward fold over your legs. And then roll yourself slowly up to standing. You'll lift the arms up and over the head, catch that length. And then maybe hands in prayer or arms just down alongside of the body. Again, arms will lift up and overhead. And forward fold down over the legs. And this time we'll take the right leg back, lunging. Let the knee come down. You can untuck the toes. Catch your band. We'll come back upright. And just as the previous side, we'll take it to the back of the rib cage, right underneath the shoulder blades. Okay, now from here, we're going to back the hips up, give them a little curl under you, and then punch the arms forward. Move the back of your rib cage back into the band. Start to let your upper back flex or round as you reach forward. Curl your hips under. You might find a bit of a stretch there through that right hip. Do another breath cycle here. Good. And then you'll just start to lengthen out your spine. Where that rib area is at the band level, try to pick that part of your back up. Just let your arms lift an inch or two, or to let your breastbone lift. And you're going to just gently extend. So you're lifting up and reaching forward, and let your shoulders slide away from your ears a bit so that you stay nice and quiet through your neck. Take one more cycle of breath here, lifting the back ribs up. Good. You'll come back, take the band up and over, back in front of you, and then catching it in your hands, just extend the arms forward. Okay, we're going to take a breath in. Back of the rib cage fills up. As you exhale, pull the band with the left arm and twist to the left. Come back into center. And again, exhale and twist. Good. Crown of the head reaching up to the ceiling. Coming back. And exhale to twist. Last time back to center. And exhale to twist. Beautiful. Come back to center. Just drop your band down, and then we'll straighten both legs here and take that forward fold over your thighs. So again, you can use blocks if you'd like for your hands. Maybe you're in more of a long spine, or maybe you're more folded with your head heavy. Try to keep feeling down into your body with your breath, feel the length of your legs. About 2 more breaths here. And then we'll rebend into the front leg. That band can go forward, downward facing dog. And landing, a landing place. Long arms, long legs, but this nice lifted and connection of these limbs into the very center of your body. Can you lift the back of your rib cage up slightly here and breathe into it? Then heels lift, we'll come out to plank. And knees can always tap down. We'll lower all the way back to the floor. Okay, untuck the toes, grab your band, and do just one more set of 5 here of these little lat pull downs from your abdomen. So you're going to reach those arms forward, let your head rest down, legs long back behind you, and then lift the arms up. Bend the elbows. Maybe you stop at the top of the head, or you clear the back of your head, and then reach the arms forward again and lower them down. Okay, 4 more here on your own, nice and slow. Taking your time, finding length as you go with the crown of your head reaching forward, engaging through your upper back. Once you finish that last one, you'll just come down. You can bring the band in, and you'll find a cobra pose for yourself again. Hands plant. Push out with your hands, just like you were pulling out with the band. And bring yourself up. Notice how your upper back feels. Lift the back of the rib cage. And we'll meet in one more child's pose when you're through. No rush to get there. Just pressing yourself back any amount toward your heels and letting yourself rest and breathe. And we'll shift forward and we'll come back into downward facing dog. All right, from down dog, we're gonna walk our feet forward again to the top. Take a forward fold over the legs. And then slowly roll yourself up to stand. Sweep those arms up and over your head. And then hands in prayer or arms alongside of the body. Great. For our very last bit, we're going to catch our bands. And you're just going to make a little loop into one end of the band. And it doesn't have to be anything specific in terms of how you tie it. You can just take one end and make a little knot like you do your shoelace, or like we did when we had it around the rib cage, and then just do a second knot. And this time you're going to make that knot really tight so that that band is secure. Sure, nice and tight. All right. So you're going to end up, take your time if you're still working, but you're going to end up with something that's like this, and then you've just got that other tail of the band accessible for yourself. Good. All right, now we're going to catch our blocks. Blocks are going to have a moment. We're going to place them near the top of your space there on their tallest setting. Those are going to be for your hands. And we're going to hook this band loop onto the left foot. So you can have the knot on top of the foot just so that you're not stepping on it. And then you'll hold the other end of the band in the left hand. So left foot to left hand. Okay, we're going to come down here and pin the band on your block as you place both of your hands on the blocks. Stepping into your right foot, we're going to extend the left leg up and back for a supported warrior three. Wow, so we have a resistance now on our legs in a different way. Now, just like we were doing on our back earlier when you were reaching one leg up and the other leg forward, try to find the same actions here. So you're going to reach your right heel bone down into the floor, and now your left heel bone and the band to whatever wall is behind you. Imagine you have another band on the crown of the head. Try to push the crown of the head forward. Keep the legs long. Just slowly lower and tap your left toes to the floor, and then reach your leg longer and lift it back up. Good. And again, like that, nice and slow. Lower and lift. Good. We're going to do 3 more here. Now, if I was just looking at you from the pelvis up toward your head, I wouldn't even know that your leg was moving because your upper body is so stable. It's so supported. So it's just your leg working here. Good. Got about 1 more here, and then we're going to hold that leg up in the air. Okay, pausing here, get a grip on your band in your left hand. You can shift your right side block forward. We're going to start to open up the pelvis and just bring your left hand to the hip. So we're coming in toward half moon here. Now take your band in your left hand and reach the arm up to the ceiling. We got a couple of breaths here. You can either stay like this, or some of you might stretch that left arm over your head. Use your band to decompress the posture. Crown of the head forward, back leg back. You might even push it up to the ceiling a little bit more, finding your length and your balance. Take about 2 more breaths here. See if you can catch that nice rib breath, calm breath like when we started. And then you'll come slowly back down and just let your foot come down. Take that band off of your leg and then stand yourself upright. Woo! All right, little walk around your space there. Whoa, just notice how the hips feel. I have one side that feels very different from the other at the moment. Maybe that's the case for you too. Good. And in some of these postures, the bands really can make it easier. And then in other ways, they can make them more challenging. There's more engagement, more thinking that has to occur, right, to understand where we are in space and understand this prop of the resistance band. All right, let's finish it up with the second side. So you're going to come on in, place it on your right foot, and then we'll hold it in the right hand. All right, hands will come down. We're going to pin the band onto the block. Left foot will be on the floor, and we'll take that right leg up and back, warrior three. So another common thing in this posture is that the back leg tends to get a little bit lost. As a teacher in class, often I'm cueing reach through the back leg, but often the student doesn't really know exactly how to do that. But here we have the resistance to help us feel the back foot. You can feel that. And also to feel the back of that right leg. So I meant to say right foot. Right foot's in the air. Okay, stop talking. Let's move. Down with your right toes and then back up with your right leg. We're doing a total of 5 of these. So nice and slow. We're going to take our time. Down and lift. But this really is kind of amazing when you put the band on the back foot. At least I think it's amazing. Suddenly that glute and hamstring area is just on fire in a good way. Okay, got 2 more. Remember that upper body is totally still. It's just your right leg moving. Gonna hold up there on that last one. Get a grip of the band in your right hand. You can shift your left block forward. Start to open to half moon. Bring that right hand to your hip to start. Okay, right arm when you're ready will go up to the ceiling. And then it's your choice, right? You could stay there. Some of you might stretch that right arm overhead. Long leg, long limbs. You get about 2 or 3 more breaths here. Good, and then you'll come back down, step your foot down, take that band off, and release. And again, just give yourself a little bit of a walk around, shake it out. All right, we're just going to lie down flat for 2 minutes, not a long time, so that we can let our body absorb all of this information. It was a lot. So you can move your blocks out of the way and make yourself comfortable. Now, also take up space. So you could spread your legs out, you could spread your arms out, maybe like a big X shape on the floor. So the work with the bands is not only physical, right, in terms of how we're engaging our muscles to support our joints and how we're working with the limbs and the core, but it's also very cognitive, right? Our brain has to work a lot to make sense of the band and start to unsmudge. We're making totally new pathways in terms of how we feel our body, move our body in space. So just rest now. Do the best you can to let all of that go. Totally supported by the floor. Just let your body yield into it against gravity. Take about 3 more slow, deep breaths here on your own. And then just gently bring some small movements back into your body. That might be really reaching the arms overhead or rocking your head side to side. And you'll take your time to make your way up, and we'll have a little bit of time for any Q&A or thoughts, or to share your experience if you'd like. And if you're like, I don't want to get up, I just want to stay on my back, then you can do that too. And thank you for practicing and joining me today.